Once again, the internet has failed me. Maybe someday they will get us some help out here so I don't have to keep cutting my videos and putting them on again. I tried to do them in iMovie, but it won't let me download them that way because I could fix it and it would be cut and made all into one movie, but that's not happening, so I'm just gonna keep smiling and using my perseverance to get through. So anyway, that was our hummingbird hawk moth. So the hummingbird hawk moth is going to be in this chapter. And this is told by Sarah. Dear School Board, it's weird that I'm the one who's going to tell you this story, but in a weird way, I'm the one who caused it. Sort of a butterfly effect, that thing about how a butterfly flapping its wings somewhere can cause a snowstorm somewhere else. You know what I'm talking about? Actually, I guess you'd call it the moth effect for this story. What happened was on the first day of school, Mrs. Porterfield, our biology teacher, let us choose which table we'd sit at. Each table has 2 seats, and whoever you sit with is going to be your partner on stuff. So when I walk into the room, most of the chairs are taken, but nobody is sitting with Dwight. It's no surprise that no one is sitting with him. I don't say that to be mean because he is a friend of mine. I've gotten to know him by living next door to him. But most normal people don't know him, and I don't really want to know him, even though I like him. So I was willing to sit with him, and I was moving in his direction, but then Amy popped up from a desk at the front of the room and called my name. She had saved a seat for me. I could have kept going and sat with Dwight, and this story would never have happened, but that would have been really rude to Amy, so I turned and went back to sit with her, which was just a tiny bit rude to Dwight, but he didn't even seem to notice. So when the last person came to class, the seat next to Dwight was the only seat left. And guess who that last person was? You guessed it, Harvey. Now, most people would have just accepted it and sat down next to Dwight. They would have complained about it later, but they wouldn't have said anything right in front of Dwight. Not Harvey. You've got to be kidding me, he says really loud. Is this seriously the only seat left? Frankly, I think most people were glad it was the last seat because for them, sitting with Harvey would be even worse than sitting with Dwight. Harvey, please take your seat, said Mrs. Porterfield. This isn't going to be a permanent seating arrangement, is it? He whined. I'm not going to be stuck here all year, am I? I'm sure that I could find a seat for you in Principal Rabsky's office, said Mrs. Porterfield. She turned out to be pretty good at making jokes like this. Harvey made this big, ridiculous sigh and flopped down right next to Dwight. Just don't bug me, he said to Dwight. Actually, said Mrs. Porterfield, we're all going to be bugging each other a lot for the next few weeks. Can anybody guess why? Nobody could guess. Because our first unit is going to be on insects, and we're going to be going outside a lot to collect insects while the weather is still nice. Nice, whined Harvey. It's 95 degrees out there. Once again, Harvey, Mrs. Porterfield said, I'd like to point out that if you find the principal's office more comfortable, I can arrange for you to spend a lot of time in there. I was starting to like Mrs. Porterfield. Maybe she would be the person who was finally able to get Harvey to shut up. The next day, we started our bug collections. Mrs. Porterfield said that when she was learning biology, people had jars of poison that used to kill the bugs they caught. They used to put pins in them to stick them in boxes. Apparently, the school system had decided that the poison wasn't safe, and neither were the pins. Plus, Mrs. Porterfield said it's a lot easier to appreciate nature when it's still alive. So she had a digital camera with this weird attachment on it. When you caught a bug, you put it in this little plastic bubble, and the camera took a close-up photo of it. Then you could let the bug go and put the bug's picture on a Flickr page she set up for our class. If you catch at least 3 bugs, we'll have 75 pictures. But the hard part is catching 75 different bugs. We don't want 75 pictures of the same kind of ant. All of a sudden, Dwight sticks his hand up, not to ask a question. He's got Origami Yoda on his finger, and Origami Yoda says, a hummingbird hawk moth, catch it we will. I've noticed that when Dwight uses Origami Yoda, he talks a little bit different depending on whether Yoda is giving an order, stating a fact, or predicting the future. This was definitely more of a spacey prediction voice. Harvey goes, ha! Then he holds up Darth Paper. Your powers are weak. You will never catch a hummingbird hawk moth. Well, said Mrs. Porterfield, as if it was completely normal for us to be talking with our finger puppets in class. It is true that the hummingbird hawk moths are somewhat uncommon. However, a student last year did catch a regular hawk moth. A hummingbird hawk moth? Find it. We will, said Origami Yoda, using his stating a fact voice. Look, Dwight, said Harvey. I went to nature camp this summer and studied entomology for 2 weeks, and nobody in the class even saw a hummingbird hawk moth the whole time. A hummingbird hawk moth? See it. We will, said Origami Yoda in the command voice. Darth Paper goes, Your brain is weak too, old man. All right already, said Mrs. Porterfield. Let's not waste any more time talking about which bugs we'll find. Let's go outside and start looking. There's no use worrying about any particular bug, Dwight. Whatever bug you catch will be useful, not just a hummingbird hawk moth. Each team got a net, and we all went back out to look for bugs in the edges of the soccer field. It was pretty hot out there, but it was fun. If you catch a bee, just keep it in your net until I can help you with it, called Mrs. Porterfield as we all started running around, everybody except Dwight and Harvey, that is. They were still standing by the doors arguing over who would get to use the net. Amy and I were the first team to catch a bug. It was a butterfly. Mrs. Porterfield took a picture of it and said we'd use a field guide to identify it later. That's an orange skipper, said Harvey. Okay, Harvey, said Mrs. Porterfield. You need to catch your own bug instead of interrupting all the other teams. How can I catch my own bug when Dwight won't let me have the net? Mrs. Porterfield sighed. And I was glad that I was not stuck with Harvey. It went on like this for a whole week. Everybody catching bugs and Harvey complaining and trying to identify other people's bugs and saying, You'll never catch a hummingbird hawk moth to Dwight over and over and over. Dwight turned out to be the best bug catcher. Instead of running around, he moved really, really slowly and suddenly, swoosh, he'd just catch one. But even though Dwight caught 7 different kinds of butterflies and even a praying mantis, he didn't catch a hummingbird hawk moth. When Dwight caught something, Harvey would paw at the net and then shout, A yellow swallowtail! I told you it wouldn't be a hummingbird hawk moth. We all got sick of hearing it. I mean, Harvey seemed to think the only thing any of us cared about was whether Dwight caught a hummingbird hawk moth or not. By the end of the week, we did care. Amy and me and some of the others were trying to catch one too so that we could secretly give it to Dwight. But by Friday, no one had even seen one. In fact, I wasn't even sure what they looked like. Then, with like 10 minutes to go, we were all running around trying to catch one, and Dwight is just standing still, holding his net. Harvey had given up trying to take turns with Dwight and was trying to catch bugs with his bare hands. And all of a sudden, there's this bzzz and whoosh. Dwight's got something in his net. He calmly walks over to Mrs. Porterfield. Now, some kids didn't care, but Amy and me and a couple of others were dying to find out if it was a hummingbird hawk moth. Whatever it was huge and it was still buzzing. Mrs. Porterfield was having some trouble getting it out of the net and into the camera thingy. Then she does, and it sits in the bubble completely still, amazingly beautiful, with shiny clear wings and this weird thing, and a fat fuzzy body. What is it? Asks Harvey, trying to look over my shoulder. Oh, I bet you'll want to know what it is. So you'll have to come back tomorrow to find out if he caught one or not. Now let me show you a little doodle that Kellen put in here. Here's the little machine, the little camera, the little bubble on the camera, and then there is how it takes a picture so they can see it. So if you want to find out if Dwight actually caught a hummingbird hawk moth, you'll have to come back and view this tomorrow. Now, on for our word for our character trait of the week. Our character trait of the week is, we said, perseverance. And you can see it back behind me. And we are learning about being, having the ability to persevere through hard situations. And we've talked about Michael Jordan. And yesterday, if you watched that video, it had some animals that used some perseverance to do some different tasks. Today, I want to talk a little bit about Walt Disney. So let me flip my camera here so you can see it. I'll put it this way. So there's old Walt Disney. This is him as a younger man, and here he is with Mickey Mouse. Now, Walt Disney, he had a lot of hardship in his life. His mom died when he was young. He tried to work for a newspaper, and the newspaper told him he was not creative enough to work there, so they fired him. He started up his own company, then he went bankrupt. He came up with a character and someone stole his idea and took credit for it. He was rejected 300 times before this guy right here, Mickey Mouse, was actually accepted. So Walt Disney definitely had a lot of perseverance. I have been to Disneyland several times in my life, and I absolutely love Disney movies. I love anything Disney. I know that he brings joy to people even today now that he's not here. I mean, his perseverance paid off, and he worked hard his whole life and left a legacy of fun and laughter and joy for people all over the world. And so one of his quotes that he says that's one of my favorites is, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And so in this time, when you're stuck at home and wanting to do stuff, think a little bit about what are your dreams? What can you dream? What can you do? How can you create while you're at home? And I want you to think about those things and figure that out, and maybe have some plans for when life goes back to normal, or start your dreams now. You can start them now. I never in a million years would think I would be on YouTube teaching school to kids just to have a fun little lesson here and there. So it's fun. I mean, it's a fun way to live. So Walt Disney was our perseverance man of the day. So I want you to remember what your assignments are, which are to write your peanut butter jelly, write your story for peanut butter jelly, your sequential order, your how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then think about what our word means for you, our perseverance word. We're going to have one more day of that tomorrow. And you definitely want to come back tomorrow and find out if Dwight caught a hummingbird hawk moth. Now for our fact or crud. Our question yesterday was, it was not until the 1800s that women were allowed to wear clothing with pockets. And that is actually, dun, 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 a fact. Yes, it's a fact. Women did not have pockets. Some dresses in the 1700s were, if there were any pockets, they were under their dresses and their petticoats. They were used to kind of act like a purse back then. So when they started having pockets on the outside, they would keep little mirrors in there and brushes, thimbles, which if you don't know what that is, look it up. Thimbles and different things like that. So that was actually a fact. So our question for today is, the average American male spends 4.3 hours per week grooming himself in front of a mirror. So yesterday's question was about girls and pockets. Today's question is, the average American male spends 4.3 hours per week grooming himself in front of a mirror. So you have to decide, how long do guys spend in front of the mirror grooming themselves? So I hope you enjoyed our show today. Keep praying that this internet works good for us. I love you. I miss you. And remember, kindness is a language everyone can hear and see and feel and touch. All of it. Be kind. Love you.